You're listening to Big World Network.
Phineas Frakture and the Princess of Atlantis, Episode 8, written by Joseph Gatch, read by Michael Young. The entire cabin looked at Phineas with shock. "I designed that thing," Phineas repeated, moving to the window and staring out at the monster that had killed uncountable Atlanteans. How could you have?" asked Abigail. Everyone in the cabin could hear the empathy in her voice. "Thorn, the designs that he showed me," Phineas said. "The last time we met, he told me that plans were in motion to control the oceans, both above and below. This must be what he meant. Abigail, we invaded Atlantis. America has done this." I can't believe this," said Abigail. We... "I can," William said, putting his hands on her shoulders. "The question now is, what are we going to do about it?" "I'm going to take it away from them," said Phineas. He turned to Ashira. "I need to go out there." Still trying to comprehend what had just happened, Ashira finally answered. "We have suits in storage, for when the Nautilus crew would visit. They will protect you. What do you mean that you designed it?" "Long story. Yes, I created it, but this isn't what it was designed for. It was meant for exploration. Evil people, have perverted it into that monstrosity." "Then you should set your conscience right," said Ashira. "It might not have been bad fortune that we encountered this after all. Your presence here is more than a coincidence. It is the will of the gods." "I don't know about the gods, but I'm starting to wonder about coincidences," said Phineas. Milos went to the center of the ship and opened a well-concealed hatch in the floor. "This way," he said. "We will get you ready." Phineas and William followed him down to another level, where the Atlantean opened a locker containing a heavy full-body suit and helmet. "This is a modified version of your surface-dweller diving suits," said Milos. "It will withstand the pressure down here for a limited time." "How long?" asked Phineas, handling the suit. It was made of heavy mesh, which felt like canvas, but much stronger, and it was heavily insulated. "About 20 minutes, I believe." "That's not enough time. It would take me twice that just to get over there." "That will not be a problem." Milos pulled a tank from the next locker. "This contains oxygen for you to breathe, and attached to the sides." He released a catch, and 2 fans folded outwards, are dual propellers. It should get you to the machine quickly. "Nice. Let's get me into this thing," Phineas said. As Phineas dressed, William inquired about the machine. "If that thing is powered by steam, where does the exhaust go? I mean, wouldn't the water put out the coal fire?" Phineas grunted, pulling the suit over his clothes. "I designed it so that smog would be filtered into a tank, and once the pressure was greater than that of the outside, it would expel the gases out the rear of the machine. The exhaust port would close immediately, before water could make its way into the machine." "So what you are saying is that thing farts?" Phineas laughed. "If you want to make it sound so crude, I guess that would be an accurate description." "And that's what the government invested in? I'm writing to my congressman when we get back." It took close to 30 minutes to get Phineas dressed and get the helmet and tank secured. The helmet was a giant hollow metal ball with several circular windows around it for optimal visibility. "How do I look?" Phineas' muffled voice asked. His breathing was loud, amplified by the oxygen flow. William looked at him, barely containing his discomfort. "Chillingly familiar," he said. "All you need is a hook." "That bad?" "Yep." William wrapped Phineas's pocket belt around his friend's waist and secured it. "Are you going to be able to use your tools with those gloves?" "All I need is a wrench. The rest is just in case." Phineas holstered the ray gun in his belt. He then put his hand on William's shoulder. "Look, if I die out there—" "I know. interrupted William. Consider yourself unemployed, finished Phineas. Not the fond farewell I expected, but appropriate in its own way. Shall I summon Abigail to do the honors of shoving you out the airlock? I think I can do that myself. Phineas opened the interior door, stepped inside, and then closed and secured it. Milos pulled a lever and filled the chamber with water. When it was full, Phineas opened the outer hatch and disappeared into the darkness. Through the front window, Abigail and Ashira watched Phineas glide off towards the walking turret. "He is a brave man," commented Ashira. "He has his moments," answered Abigail. "You couldn't have picked a better husband." Ashira's eyes widened. "Husband?" she asked. "Why would I want him for our husband?" "You did exchange vows. You told us you both said yes. You kissed him. And he thinks that we are married?" "Well, it did sound like a typical marriage ceremony," said Abigail. Ashira put her hand on Abigail's arm. "I would never take a man away from another woman. Abigail, what transpired was a ceremony appointing Phineas as my champion. That is what Kamtala means in our language. It is a reciprocal bond that shows that I favor him, and he will fight for me. That is all, an ancient notion, but traditional. It was all explained during the ceremony." Abigail sat back in her chair. "There was something with moving parts in the room, wasn't there?" "Yes, the whole room is alive with ancient clockwork running the citadel." "He wasn't paying attention, was he?" "I don't believe he was," laughed Ashira. "Oh, this is bad. He believes. I must tell him when he returns." "Never you mind," said Abigail with a sly grin on her face. "Allow me that one simple pleasure." Phineas activated the propellers as soon as he exited the ship, sending him on a fast trajectory towards the mechanical beast. Lights on his helmet allowed him to see where he was going. However, they would also alert whoever was controlling the beast of his presence. As he neared his invention, cannons of compressed air fired projectiles in his direction. Phineas panicked and accidentally sent his rig into a wild spin. Harpoons flashed past him as he seemingly dodged them with ease, when in reality he attributed his survival to dumb luck. Phineas slammed into the front leg of the machine and painfully turned off the propellers. He looked around and found his mark on the underside of the machine, a hatch leading to the boiler room powering it. His intent was to flood the beast. Phineas swam to the hatch as guns around the hole searched for their target. He heard a clang and was jarred momentarily. Turning, he found a small turret on the underside, pointing straight at him. Calculating the reload time, Phineas activated the propellers and shot towards the gun. He could see the harpoon entering the chamber, and without thinking, he pulled out his Tesla rod and shoved it into the barrel. The rod flared to life as the compressed air fired the harpoon. The projectile jammed in the barrel, while the Tesla charge went racing into the mechanism. Muffled thuds of explosions came from within the mechanical beast as electricity detonated the tanks of compressed gas. Hull plates were blown out, and the sudden pressure change collapsed the beast in upon itself. Meanwhile, Phineas had fallen to the sea floor and lay on his back, watching the scene unfold. The machine's legs bent outwards, and the whole thing began falling straight down. Phineas once again panicked and hit the propeller controls, sending him sailing up and out of the way of the collapse. He hovered for a moment, and then was hit from behind with a blow that sent him tumbling across the seafloor. A lone Kraken man, expelled from the machine, was making a counterattack. Though this one looked identical to the one Phineas had killed earlier, it was armed with a trident. The prongs glowed, and without any other warning, discharged an energy bolt in Phineas's direction. The charge exploded a mere 2 feet away from Phineas, sending rocks and coral in every direction. Phineas fumbled for the ray gun, only to drop it with the clumsy gloves. He could see the trident charging again, and knew that his chances were slim. He disregarded the Kraken man and scrambled for the gun. It took both hands to hold on to it, but he flipped over on his back, pointed, and shot just as the Kraken man fired his weapon. Phineas was later dumbfounded when he realized that he wasn't thinking of dying at the moment, but was rather doing calculations of the physics behind the speed of the ray gun's discharge versus the tridents. The ray gun's velocity outmatched the trident's as it struck the Kraken Man first, sending the trident bolt in another direction. The result was one Kraken Man flailing helplessly to the ground, and one lucky, albeit victorious, Phineas Frakture. Phineas walked over to his prone enemy and stood over him. He looked at the creature, and then, for the second time in as many days, darkness enveloped him.
You're listening to Big World Network.